stuff, huh? Seeing as class started 5 minutes ago. Yeah, we're on the last chapter, I guess. And this is a tough one. That's great. Finish the class with a tough one. But we're only doing 10 chapters. This is a lot easier than principles was, right, where we did 14? Really easy class. That's good. What's that?
I said we did do 14.
Yeah, we're only doing 10 in here, counting White Cafe. Anyway, so there's a lot of stuff in this chapter, chapter 9. And then we've got, I guess, next Monday we have a review session or something. So we've got 3 days on this. Wednesday, Friday, Monday, and then Monday we've got a review if anybody wants to make it. And then Wednesday we have the quiz. And then Friday we're doing a review and another optional review for the test. It looks like Monday a review for the test. Then we got a take home that's not due until Friday, really? I guess if you want to do it that way.
What if we don't want to do it that way?
Yeah.
But how would you want to do it?
Monday to Monday.
Hand it in sooner?
Having
What did I say, Monday through Friday? Yeah, but then you can do it Monday. I guess you can do it Monday. I don't care. You can do it Monday to Monday. Give it to you Monday, and you can do it on through the following Monday. But then we can't, when we're reviewing, we can't talk about those questions.
Can we just get it on Friday and turn it on Monday like we normally do?
Get it on Friday before the review? Yeah, you might want the review on Monday is what I was thinking. That's the problem.
Can we turn it into the following Monday?
Yeah, you can, but then the problem is we can't go over it until then. Which is all right.
Oh.
We've got reviews for the final on Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday. We have an optional review on Wednesday. That'd be all right. We can move it down. Instead of Friday the 22nd, you could hand it in Monday the 25th. We just won't go over that material until those questions. We can't go over those questions then until we're on the last few days, but that's all right.
You said you wanted to review for that Monday. What if we did Friday to Wednesday?
Well, yeah, we still need the Wednesday, so.
What's our last day of class? Wednesday the 27th?
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's a study day on Thursday the 28th, which I guess is really a drinking day, but I mean a study day. I always do a study week, right? And you need it, don't you? I've seen your test quizzes. You guys need it, so.
Do you have another time besides the final post to take it? Because I have 3 on that day.
Oh yeah, it's listed on here. There's Wednesday.
Take it on Monday.
I think ours is scheduled Wednesday, but you could also do it Monday if you want. May 2nd from 11:30 to 2:30, and I'm going to give you 5 hours anyway. So if you want it, you can take longer. So you can start. You can start then and keep going probably. So we'll do. Or you can start later. Do you have any tests on Monday?
No.
Oh, good. Perfect. Good.
Wednesday at 3.
Yeah. You just have to get ready. Okay. So chapter 9, huh? We'll do the easy stuff today, and then we'll do the hard stuff tomorrow. Right, the hard stuff tomorrow. What's going to make this chapter hard? You guys read this one? I hope. Nobody's saying, "Oh yeah, I read it. Every single page carefully." You guys, human beings. Why do we always put everything on? I don't know. Always screws you up. Anyway, things in this chapter aren't too bad until you get back to find it. Back to page 488, and you get into retail inventory method. It's just a bear. There's a whole bunch of different ways, and one of them, I mentioned this to you before. Retail inventory method is you know what the sales price is of your products, so you count the inventory and you cost them out at their sales price. And then you use a cost to retail percentage, what cost is a percent of retail, to convert to an estimate of cost. That's all it is. But there are a variety of ways to do it, okay? One gives you sort of an average cost, right? Another one gives you an approximation of LIFO, right? Another one gives you an approximation of lower of cost or market. And another one gives you, and they're very rough approximations, another one gives you dollar value LIFO retail, right? Retail dollar value LIFO, however you want to say. Okay, so there's 4 of them, right, in that one section. So read that, work some problems for next time, and it'll really help you when we go through it, when we talk about it, okay? That'll make it better. Anyway, so let's do some of the other stuff in the chapter, and we'll get through a lot of that today, and then we've got 2 more days on this chapter, it'll be fine. Okay, so these are additional inventory issues. Let's do the first one, lower cost or market, on page 474. This is pretty simple. This is just not bad. Okay, we're conservative, right? We won't write up to market, we'll just write down to market, okay? And if it recovers, we don't write it back up. And the idea is, under US GAAP, you don't write it back up. The idea is, we're probably going to sell it pretty soon anyway, you turn your inventory over. So you just write it down at the end of the year and leave it. And what happens then is you have less cost of goods sold for future. So, make sense? Okay, so we're conservative, so we'll write down but not write. Okay, it's just not a big deal. All right, so you can see on page 474, they tell you in Target and Best Buy. Let's look at Best Buy, it's short. In their summary of accounting policies, they say merchandise inventories are recorded at the lower of cost, using either the average cost or first in, first out method or market. Lower cost or market. Everybody will always say that because it's required under generally accepted accounting principles. If market is less than cost, you have to write it down. Got it? Okay, not bad. Okay, and then they go through all kinds of gyrations, this ceiling and floor. And this is kind of an antiquated term, which is correct, but it's not, I don't think it's all that valuable. I mean, when you value your inventory here, we're going to come up with 3 estimates of market. Yes? I hope I am. Yeah, we're recording. Good. Okay. Anyway, thanks for asking, though. Yeah, so what we're going to do is come up with 3 estimates, then we're going to take the one that is in the middle, which is going to force one to be the ceiling and the floor. Okay, so what we do is we count our inventory, we figure out what the cost is of each inventory item, right? So you've got all your inventory items and you have the quantity of each, and then you have the cost of each. Well, we know what the cost is. You take the cost times the quantity, right? What we want to do is we want to get an estimate of market to compare it to cost. And then if the market is less than cost, we'll use that value instead of the cost, got it? Okay, that's all we're doing. But, so we've got 3 different estimates we might use. What are they? On page 475. First one says what?
Net realizable.
Net realizable value. What's that?
How much we plan to get.
Selling price minus, what does it say?
Cost of depletion
Cost of depletion
and disposal.
and disposal. So disposal costs, right? That's it. Okay? So cost of wrapping it up, selling it, getting rid of it. Okay? That's it. Okay? So normal disposal costs. All right? Then what's the next one?
Lower.
Net realizable value minus
Normal profit.
normal profit. I'm not kidding. That's the second one. So here's the first one. Here's the second one. You know what? Net realizable value minus normal profit is less than net realizable value. One's always bigger than the other one. Got it? Okay. That's why ceiling and floor doesn't make any difference. So, what's the next one?
Lower.
What else we got?
You're talking about upper limit and lower limit?
No, it is going to be, but there's going to be one more. What's the other one that we might use to value our inventory? Let's read this chapter. What's the third one?
Lower.
Take a look on page 476 of the little blue box. What do they have there? Net realizable value. That's the ceiling. Net realizable value less normal profit is the floor. Right? What's the other one? Replacement. And they make a big deal out of ceiling and floor, but here's all it is. I'm going to take the one in the middle. So if the one in the middle happens, can the one in the middle be net realizable value? Sure, if replacement is more than net realizable value, you could use that, right? Could the one in the middle be net realizable value less normal profit? Sure, if replacement cost is less than net realizable value less normal profit. Could the one in the middle be replacement cost? Of course it could. It could be right in between those two, couldn't it? You always take the one in the middle. But that'll prevent you from ever going above net realizable value and ever going below net realizable value less normal profit. So don't let ceiling and floor bother you. It's no big deal. Of course it's the ceiling and the floor. It has to be. Okay, so this can be easy. Now here's the thing. Keep those separate from cost. I'm going to take the one in the middle and just say, well, that's probably a decent estimate for market value, right? The middle one is the market value. Got it? I'm going to keep that separate from cost. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare these two and take the one that is lower, because this is lower of cost or market. These are almost 3 points, you guys, on my quiz, test, final, and on the CPA exam. There's just nothing to this. So let's do a problem. Let's go look at, let's do E93. Okay? Do this for item number 1320. What do you want? I want to know what the net realizable value is. I want to know what the net realizable value minus normal profit is. I'd like to know what replacement is. And then I'm going to take the one in the middle and compare it to cost. Okay? So let's do that. And there's 1,200 of them, so I'm going to take 1,200 times that, whichever one it is. So what would you do? What's the net realizable value on the first one?
Which number did you say?
92, or 93, I'm sorry. Actually, that's 93. What do you do, guys? Selling price is how much?
450.
450. Cost of completion disposal is what?
357.
What's the difference?
450.
Oh man, this is hard. Now I know the net realizable value is 415. What's the normal profit? $1.25. Can you take $1.25 away from 415? What's that going to be? 290. All right. What's replacement?
$3.
Which one's in the middle?
3.
What's the cost?
It's $320.
What are you going to? What's lower between 320 and 3?
3.
I think 3 might be. I'm going to take that times 1,200 units and I'm done. I'm not kidding. That's all there is to it. I guess it's an okay estimate. I don't know. Got it? Okay. Let's do the next one. Do 1333. Told you we're going to have an easy time at the beginning here. The cost is 270. I'll put it over here. What do you think? Looks like the cost to replace is 230. Maybe put that here. See, selling price is 350. Cost of completion disposal is 50. What does that make net realizable value? $3. All right. And then let's see, 50 cents normal profit. What does that make net realizable value minus normal profit?
250.
Which one's in the middle of those three?
250.
I'm comparing 250 to 270. Which one's lower?
250.
I get paid to do this. Isn't that amazing? This is too simple. Okay. Okay. So, okay, you guys do 1426. I'm tired of it. Tell me what they are. Make sure everybody gets the same numbers. You guys have them? I'm actually going to give you points for doing stuff like this. You know it. It kind of makes some sense, doesn't it? You got 3 different estimates of market. Okay, what are these? 1426. What's the net realizable value? 450? 460. Does that sound good to everybody? Less than normal profit, what'd you get? 360. What was replacement? 370. What was cost? 450. Which one's in the middle?
370.
And we'll use that one.
Because it's lower the cost.
Lower than the cost? Yeah. The middle is lower than the cost, right? Lower than the cost.
So wait, does this go like all the way back to like chapter 1 when we said we're always going to take the lowest for like assets but the highest for liabilities?
Yeah, conservatism. Yeah, this is conservatism. I'm being conservative. I don't want to overstate my inventory. It's an asset. Got it. Exactly right. Okay. Try the next one. What is the next one? Number 4. Okay. Try to do that real quick. So just practice this a little bit. What's that going to be? And this is the amount we take times the quantity, right, guys?
What? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The one you decide on is the one you take times the quantity. That's if we're doing specific by item. We talked about that in chapter 2. We need to do it by items or by groups of items, or we can do it by the inventory in total. What's that one? What do you get?
295.
How much? 3?
295.
295. Second one?
205.
Third one?
310.
Which one's in the middle?
295.
Yeah, so you can see that any of them could be in the middle, right? Okay, and then cost?
360.
360? Which one would you pick? Lower cost or market? 395. Okay? All right. Let's do the next one. Which is that one? 1510? Okay. Never less than value? $245. Take away the normal profit, what do you get?
85.
185. Replacement? 2. Looks like that one's in the middle. You know what was cost? Oh, geez, they still didn't give us one. Okay, what if that instead of being 225 had been 190? What would you do?
Take the middle.
Then I'd take the middle one here, but then I'd take this one, right? Because cost is lower. So I'd do cost is lower. Okay, everybody good? Okay, so if I was doing my inventory, what I'd do is I would take each one of those I have a square around, right? The lower of cost or market, right? In one case, cost was lower. The other case, the markets were all lower. And I'd multiply them times the quantities, right? Add it all up, and I got my inventory. Everybody good? Okay, how about if I do them for the inventory as a whole? What would I do? I would take...
All of the net realizable value.
What would I do? I would value them at what? I value everything at net realizable value, quantities times each. I'd value all of them at normal, net realizable value less normal profit. I'd value them all at replacement. And then I'd take the one, and I'd add the total for my inventory, right? And I'd take the one that's in the middle. Right? Yeah. And then I'd do all the costs too, right? Of all of them, right? Multiply them, okay? Add them all up. I'd know my total cost estimate, and I'd know my total market estimate. And I would take the one that is lower. And what that does is it offsets where cost is higher, market is higher, cost is lower, market is lower. And what will happen if I do that? I will be less apt to write my inventory down. If you do on each individual item like this, you're more apt to write your inventory down. If market's less on any of them, right, you're going to write it down. You're going to leave the other ones at cost, aren't you? Got it? But if you offset them, right, on the whole inventory, you write it down less. Know that. And you're going to read about it. I can tell you guys haven't read this chapter yet. When you read this, right, they're going to talk about that. That's what they're talking about. Now, there's one other way you could do it. I could put these into groupings. So maybe these two, with maybe 2,000 inventory items, right, are one group of inventory. And these three are another group. And what I do is I do cost versus market for those groups and compare cost to market and take whichever is lower. What that'll do is you'll get some offsetting, right? Some offsetting, similar to if you did the inventory as a whole, right? But not as much. So you'll still get more writing down than if you would be likely to get more writing down, right? More of a write down than you would if you did each specific item, right? You got the idea? You'd be apt to get more write down than if you did the inventory as a whole, less write down than each specific item. It'd be in between the two. Okay? Got it? So take a look at that, and why would that work? Okay? And all of them are allowed. Okay? Which I don't know why they are. I think each individual item makes more sense personally. But anyway. So, okay? It is a lower write down anyway. So are we good on this one? And how would what kind of a journal entry would you do for this, by the way? Go back over to where we started at the beginning of the chapter. What kind of a journal entry is that going to give you? To write it down.
To write it down.
On page 478. To write it down to market. Great, the kind of beige box on page 478, cost of goods sold method and loss method. Depending on how material you think it is, you can either debit cost of goods sold and credit inventory, writing it down. It never goes the other way because you don't write up. And then the loss method, debit loss due to decline in inventory to market, and then credit inventory. And you could show the loss either right next to cost of goods sold when you're doing your income statement, but show them separate, cost of goods sold and then that. Or you could show that down in a non-operating, which I don't particularly like very well. But anyway, it's not really non-operating. So anyway, okay? Or you can use an allowance. Take a look on page 479. What's an allowance? It's a contra asset account, contra inventory. So what you do is you show your inventory at cost on your balance sheet, and then you'd have an allowance to write it down to market. Make sense? And we show the loss or cost of goods sold, either way. Good debit cost of goods sold or credit loss. See that, guys? Pretty simple, huh? Pretty straightforward. And that's just a contra inventory account on your balance sheet to show the net inventory anyway, which is market now, right? By the way, could that allowance be zero? Well, sure, if cost is more than market, you wouldn't have an allowance, right? Brilliant stuff. Okay, over on page 480, it's like any allowance account. If I make it a journal entry to make the allowance bigger, what do? Debit cost of goods sold and credit the allowance, right? Or debit loss on inventory and credit the allowance. What if the next year you need a smaller allowance? You're going to have to debit the allowance and credit cost of goods sold, aren't you? Duh, right? Or recovery of loss, either way. Got it? So they show you that. No big deal. All right. Valuation bases. Okay? So what do you think on that? Page 481. It's kind of an exception. Valuation at net realizable value. What would this be? For most parts, they're at cost or lower of cost or market. However, many believe that for purposes of applying lower cost or market rule, they should define market as net realizable value Selling price less estimated cost to complete or sell rather than its replacement. Argument is based on the fact that the amount that companies will collect from this inventory in the future is net realizable value. I agree with that. Not replacement, it's going to be net realizable value. Under limited circumstances, support exists for recording inventory at net realizable value, even if that amount is above cost. Oh, I can state it at net realizable value if it's more than cost in some situations. GAAP permits this exception, I'm at the top of page 484, to the normal recognition rule under the following conditions. There is a controlled market with a quoted price applicable to all quantities, so it's a commodity. There's a market for it, right? Agriculture uses a lot. Okay? When no significant costs of disposal are involved. I've already got the crop harvested, right? I just haven't sold it yet. So my crop came in late. Got the idea? Okay? So I can write that cost up to this net realizable value. Okay? Got the idea? Okay? So you're being allowed to recognize for the profit is what it means. Okay? For example, mining companies do this, rare metals. Okay? And agriculture will do it too. Okay? Similar treatment is given there. It is agricultural products that are immediately quoted, marketable at quoted prices. So yeah. So rare metals where we have mined them already. Okay? Not when they're in the ground. Third reason for allowing valuation at net realizable value is it is sometimes too difficult to get the cost figures, so you use it instead. Okay? All right. And they even mentioned the meat packing industry. They carry inventories at sales price less distribution costs. So, okay. All right, this relative sales value thing. This is really, really simple, and I will give you some points for this one too. Okay? This is where I make a bulk purchase. And get this down in inventories, because when we get to market basket purchases of land, building and equipment, property, plant and equipment, you pay one price, right? In this case, we're paying one price for land in their example, right? And you get a whole bunch of different products out of that. When you buy this land, they're buying building lots. I love these numbers. I wonder if in the new edition of the book they actually have some more realistic numbers. Did anybody know of any lots that only cost $4,500? But anyway, oh well. This is a real poor town. Yeah, anyway, with inflation, that's not much of a lot in Louisville. Anyway, as in none, probably. So the sales price per lot, $10,000 down to $4,500. That's what we're going to sell them for. And we got 400 lots out of it. You see that in the brown box at the bottom of page 482? So what happened is we paid $1 million, we paid $1 million there in red for stuff we're going to sell for $2.5 million. You got the idea? So we know what we're going to sell it in total for, but we don't know how much cost we paid for each one of them. We know what we're going to sell them for, but we don't know how much cost to allocate to it. So what they're doing in this case is they're spreading it on relative sales value. What that'll do is it'll give you the same gross profit percentage on each one of the lots. Same percentage, not the same gross profit. That's all it's doing, just allocating. So what I want to do is I want to allocate the market basket purchase, if you want to think about it that way. I paid $1 million, and I'm going to get 400 lots, right, guys? So what we said was, okay, lots type A. You know, these are building lots, you guys. For some reason, people like to pay more money to be on a corner. You know, when you're in the suburbs, and well, in town here too. These are old suburbs. The corner lots cost more money than ones that are in between houses. I have never understood that. Because you have a whole bunch of street and no yard, but people really like it. Yeah, what do you say?
Maybe it's because it's easier to spot if you have guests coming up.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it just makes you look richer. You can show off your house more and show off your landscaping. But it's not usable lawn. My dad was a builder, and he always thought that was funny too. So, you know, but anyway, it was all right. We never took a corner lot. You know why? For the houses he built for himself. Because he got more money for the corner ones when he sold the lots. He's like, I don't care. I'd rather have more backyard, right? You know, and so whatever. Anyway, and besides that, your neighbors will build fences for you if you're not on the corner. If you're on the corner, you know, yeah. So you have problems. So anyway, the other thing is if it's view property or if it's waterfront property, guess what? You know, you get more for it, right? If it's property that floods, you don't get much for it. If it's property with no view, you don't get much for it. You have the idea? So anyway, of course they're all over the map. So some cost $10,000. They might be the same size, or they could be different size lots. We don't care. Okay, anyway. So there's 100 at $10,000, and that would be $1 million. There's 100 at 6,000, that would be 600. 200 at 4,500, which is 900. See what they did there? They just multiplied them together. So you estimate what you're going to sell them for. 2.5 million, right? So what's the relative sales price? It looks like $1 million out of 2.5, 40%, right? $1 million divided by 2.5 million. And then we've got, what's the next one? What's 60 divided by 250? 24%? Know what that is? Yep. And then 90 divided by 250 is 36%, I think. Has to add up to 100%. I wish they used percentages instead. Take it times the cost, million total cost, and you get how much goes to the lots, and then divide the number of lots in. So 400,000, 40% went with lots A, divide it by 100 lots, and you get 4,000. Get the idea? And just continue that. So now I know what the cost is per each lot. When I sell lots, what will I do? That cost of the goods sold per lot will be that. You got it. What will it be until then? Inventory. It's inventory of lots, right? It's not an investment in land. It's inventory of lots. I sell lots. Okay? Anyway, sure. So you can see on page 483, they sold 17 of lot A, 80 of lot B, 100 of lot C. There's what the cost is. There's the cost of the lot sold, debit cost of goods sold, right? And credit inventory of lots. Okay? And then what? Debit accounts receivable and credit sales. Or debit cash and credit sales, sold cash. Okay, good. Can you guys do this? I'm going to even give you points for that. What a nice guy. Okay, purchase commitments. This one's really cool. I like purchase commitments because it kind of violates what we taught you. That's always fun. Can you recognize a gain or a loss on something you haven't bought yet? Ooh, I have a commitment to buy something. Can I have a gain or a loss?
They actually record it.
What's that?
Actually record the gain and loss.
And actually record the gain or loss. But we're conservative, so will we record gains?
Nope.
No. But would we record losses?
Yeah.
Yes. And here's this theory. I have a commitment to buy inventory. I'm going to buy 1,000 tons at $1,000 each, so it's $1 million, right? I'm committed to the $1 million, but now they're only worth 900 a ton, so it's only worth 900,000. What just happened to me? I just lost $100,000. We will recognize the loss, even though it's not realized. What does recognize mean? Record a journal entry, put it on the income statement, balance sheet, right? What does realize mean? Money changing hands. So we don't really have a loss yet. It's an unrealized loss, huh? Okay? So here's an example. And these are when you have binding contracts, right? Binding contracts. So first what happens on page 484, they say many people like Boise Cascade, Georgia Pacific Warehouser, right, have contracts with the U.S. Forest Service, and this happens to them all the time, right? So here's a loss. It would start, they use an account on page 484 in the first journal entry. They use an account called unrealized holding gain or loss, right? But it's really a loss. You can use one account like that, which is a good idea, because that account's just going to sit there, right, until you clear the deal, until you close the deal. But actually receive the inventory, right? Okay, close the deal. Okay, anyway, it's going to start as a loss. But the reason we use unrealized holding gain or loss is you might have a gain before you close the deal. That makes sense? And you can record gain to the extent that you had loss. So it's different than writing down the inventory and not being able to write it back up because you're going to sell it soon. In this case, if you write it down, you could write it back as far as you wrote it down is the whole idea. So look what happens here. I don't have inventory yet, do I? And I haven't bought it yet. I don't have the inventory, I don't have the liability. So look at this entry. In this case, they bought it for $10 million. They're going to pay $10 million, and now the value has dropped to $7 million before they took possession of it, right? Before they take possession. So, but they've got the contract, and they're going to have to follow through with it. So at the end of the year, they have lost $3 million, basically. Debit unrealized holding gain or loss. It's going to hit the income statement for $3 million, right? Get that loss. Credit estimated liability on purchase commitment. So I've got an estimated liability, right? Got it? This making sense? This is exciting. Look exciting. Come on. Don't be thinking about something fun outside there. This is exciting stuff. Come on. Okay, good. Keep your head into it. All right, anyway. So, yeah. And then, well, now that you're all here, how many of you signed up for KPMG? Have you done it? Yeah. No. I don't know. How about PwC? We're going to pick up one more. Have you done PwC?
Me?
Yeah. You can't do KPMG or PwC? Why not?
I'm busy both days.
You got to get your calendar quick. And you got to find out. The Accounting Association is going to put out a list. They already did. But they're going to put out a list for everything for summer and fall. You got anything in summer?
No, I don't think we're doing anything. Well, we might have like early summer stuff maybe.
Maybe it's early summer. Yeah, okay. So anyway, they're going to put out a list of everything. You clear your calendar and you get on every single one of them. All of you. Go to everything. I'm serious. And not because Keith wants you to. Because you would kind of like to have a career. Keith does not want you to do anything for Keith. I've got my money. Right? I'm about done. Okay? I'm building my career, building yours. Okay? I had my money when I started teaching, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, anyway. Okay, so what happens then later? Okay, let's assume the price doesn't recover. Look at the second journal entry there. Now I debit purchases. What method are they using of inventory if they debit purchases?
Periodic.
Periodic. What if they debit inventory? Perpetual. That's why there's both of them. You knew that, right? When you look at it, you know that, okay? And then they credit cash for $10 million. Well, gee, I only got 7 for 10. Oh, I've got that estimated liability. I don't have to recognize a loss this year. I recognize the loss when the value went down last year. See it? Simple, isn't it? Okay? What, though, if it recovers? In the second one, or the third entry down there, they say, well, yeah, but what if the price goes up by 1,000? So here we wrote it down by 3, and then down to 7, and it recovers up to 8 before I buy it. What would I do? Write it back up. You can only write it up to the extent of the 3, right? So what would you do? Debit estimated liability for 1, and credit unrealized holding gain or loss for 1, and the unrealized holding gain or loss is sitting there, right? Now that might be a gain then in the second year. You got the idea? Does that happen the next year? It's okay. You showed us a gain. All right, let me change it a little bit for you. Let's say that what happened was it recovered to 8, and I paid for the inventory and bought it and got it, right? I pay for it and get it. What would my entry be? It is recovered to 8. So I didn't make that third journal entry. I did write it down in the first entry. I haven't done the second one, right, because I haven't received it yet, and I didn't do the third one. So all I've got is the first entry there. Debit the unrealized loss for 3 and credit the estimated liability for 3. Now they give me the inventory. I'm going to give them how much for it? 10. What's it worth? 8 to recover, right? To recovered 1. Give me the journal entry. I think there's 3 lines. Four lines. I like 4 lines. We need 4. How much cash did you give them? How much inventory did they give you?
8.
What else do you need?
You need to just,
For the 1 or
no, you need to credit your purchase gains and losses.
Credit purchase gain. Purchase commitment gain, right?
And then debit your liability.
Purchase commitment liability, right? Estimate. Why do we call it an estimated liability? Because it is. We don't know what it is really. Okay, got it. Is that easy? Kind of. A little more difficult. Everybody good? So you could do these. If it recovers, what you do, you know, closing out the deal, what you do. These aren't too bad. Imagine we started working with this kind of stuff in principles. I'd be telling you this is easy and you'd be thinking, what the, yeah, you gotta understand the background. This gross profit thing, I just do not understand the way the author approaches this, but it's the same in every single textbook, so I don't know what they're doing here. I don't know why they think that it's better to calculate the cost and subtract it from the inventory instead of just take the cost of the inventory. But anyway, they do. And so, but we'll work through it. You do need to know this. What is the difference between markup and margin? Markup and margin. And we're talking about profit, right? The gross profit margin, or the markup. Marketing people like markup. Accountants and finance people tend to like margin. So we're not speaking the same language if we're not careful here, right? What's the deal? If I have a sales price of $100 and I have a cost of $40, what is my gross profit? $60, right? Okay. Looks like a lot, but it depends what your operating expenses are, and it depends how many units you sell, right? So it might be a lot, might not. If you were selling diamonds, that's terrible, right? If you're selling hamburgers, wow, right? And if you're selling groceries, wow, great. Right? So it depends what you're selling, of course. All right, what's the margin here? This is 100% of itself, right? This is 40%, 40 divided by 100. So gross profit percentage, of course, is 60%, 60 divided by 100. Everybody knows that, right? Gross profit percentage, which is the gross margin percentage. Okay, same thing. Okay, what's markup? Well, markup's something else. Markup is how much you add to the cost to get your sales price. And there's two ways you can do this. What's the markup? What did I add to cost to get my sales price? The markup here is what? 150%. What did I add to my cost? My cost was 40, I added 60, that's 150%. 60 divided by 40, right? 150%. But here's the problem, that's markup. They also might do it this way. They might take the 100 and divide it by the 40, and then you'd say it's 250%. And for any markups, it'll be 100% difference between those two, right? Because you just added a cost to it. You have to ask the marketing person how they computed it. What do you mean? Do you mean markup as a percent of cost? Or you know, do you mean sales price relative to cost, or do you mean gross profit relative to cost, right? Always ask that question. By the way, these will always convert to each other. A 150% markup is always a 60% margin. Every time. Right? If we change this to 200, that would be 80. That would be 120, right? I just doubled it. Right? Don't I still have 60% here? Yes. Do I still have 150% here? Yes. Mathematically, they stay the same, huh? Okay. So do one for, let's say the markup is 50%. Tell me what the margin is. And by the way, if I do it this way, you know the markup is not including the cost, right? I didn't add it to the cost. It's how much I added to the cost. It's not over 100. Yeah. So anyway, so what I'm saying is, this number is 50. What would this one be? Can you calculate it? Simple. What do you do? Sales price less cost. Gross profit. For a sales price of what? Would be what? I think I use cost. What if cost is 100? What would gross profit have to be? Markup's 50%, you guys. What would sales price have to be? What's gross profit percentage? Be able to do this. They're going to have you do it. It's always is unbelievably easy. Okay, and we'll pick up there. They show a bunch of examples, but we'll do the gross profit method of estimating costs. Well, wait a minute. Maybe that's not right there. Anyway. Yeah. Maybe it's early in the chapter. Okay, anyway, I'll find it. We'll see you next time. Keep working. Keep working. You sure you can't rearrange the other things that you have to do for Pricewaterhouse and go? These are really valuable. I mean, really valuable. Try. You get to meet them again in the fall, and especially for a certificate. If you could meet them now or again in the fall, yeah. And you never know. You might not think you don't want to go to look at Pricewaterhouse. That's okay. They have all kinds of clients. Once they meet you, well, we'd like to hire you.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't work, so this other place where you might be better, or they'll introduce you. Okay? Networking. You have to start doing everything I tell you to. Stop it.
Next time,
I could care less. I wouldn't work for him. But I'd like you to. I work for Arthur Anderson. I'm certainly not a fan of them anymore.
good job.
Well, it's also great in your resume. I mean, just incredible in your resume. If you start with a big four firm, you will never get turned down for a job after that.
Jack was encouraging us to go the other day. He was like, I don't like them, but you should go.
I usually go, but I'm not
I can't believe I just recorded that. I hope nobody heard that one. Yeah. No, but they're not my favorite only because they're stuffy. I like KPMG better, but that's my personality, you know. But I wouldn't work for any big firm now. I'd work for a large local firm, you know. I still didn't stop here. I thought